Next story. Now, this next story is interesting to me because when we talk about all of these institutions in America, sometimes I feel like the best way for us to rid ourselves of these institutions, or the best way for us to rid ourselves of the negative effects of these institutions, is to be a part of them, is to find a way to ingratiate ourselves in these organizations with black people who are revolutionaries, black people who stand for truth, black people who speak truth to power. And it's of my belief that if we do this to high levels of policies, or I'm sorry, high levels of politics, when we talk about district attorneys, when we talk about judges, when we talk about police officers, on a small scale, I think, okay, if more of us who are righteous became judges and police officers, we can solve this shit, right? Not necessarily the case. So look, in late October, the Columbus, Ohio City Council voted the approval of a $475,000 payment to a Columbus Division of Police officer who claimed there was a culture of discrimination in the department and that he faced retaliation after speaking out against a white sergeant's racism. So hear me when I say this, right? This is a black police officer that was awarded money, $475,000, all because he's doing what I say we should do. He's a part of this organization, and he's seeing shit that ain't right and saying, no, 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 no. That wasn't cool, right? But look at the backlash he's actually getting just for coming out. Let me continue. Carl Shaw is the brother's name, a 28-year-old veteran of the department, filed the discrimination lawsuit in 2018, alleging that a white sergeant, Eric Moore, had used a racial slur to describe two black officers in 2014 and had threatened to kill them. The suit alleges a pattern, practice, and policy of discriminatory treatment of minority officers. Shaw said he had experienced racism in the department since he first joined in '92. So this is 20 some odd years he's been in this department, and he's saying since he's been there, he's experienced certain types of racism, right? Let me continue. He went on to say that he stood up because it's wrong and it's not about the money. This whole process was stressful. You stay up at night, not sleeping, thinking about this case. This case could have been solved if the chain of command would have allowed the internal investigators to do his job. Now, Shaw demanded that discrimination become a fireable offense in the department and said that he would not have accepted the settlement without the policy change. Now, that's important. That I didn't really peep that before, but that's important. The brother is saying, yeah, give me the money, but I'm not going to accept this money until y'all change some shit. That's some advice, or that's some shit that some of these families who take payouts when your son or your husband get fucking murdered and you take the money for it, and a part of you taking that money is the fact that you got to shut up now. You can talk about it. You can't move the case further any longer. That's some bullshit. So maybe as black folks, when our kid get killed by the cops, or when something negative happens at the hands of police, opposed to just taking the 2-3 mil, we say, yeah, I take the money only if X, Y, and Z happens. That's a good move right there, family. You feel me? Now, the department is also facing several other lawsuits filed by current or former black officers who say they face discrimination while working in the division. Now, Eric Cornett, a 23-year-old veteran of the department who has filed a suit against the city of Columbus, claims he is one of the black officers who was threatened by Moore in 2014. Now, Moore is accused of saying, and I quote, "I need to take their monkey asses out back and kill them." He's talking about officers in his precinct. Now, let's keep that in mind. And he was referencing Cornett and another black officer, Sergeant Douglas Williams. Now, Shaw said he filed a complaint with Internal Affairs, which would not investigate the allegations of discrimination. So, as we can see, a lot of these police departments are corrupt from the top to the bottom. We're talking about the sergeants, the captains. We're talking about fucking Internal Affairs, who is supposed to come in and check on shit, who's supposed to come in and alleviate the situation, kind of come in there and be the police for the police. But one of the Internal Affairs person told him, and I quote, "So I guess you're a dead man walking, huh?" When he confronted him about, hey, how's the case going? How's everything going? He told him in a jokingly manner, "I guess you're a dead man walking now, huh?" So this brother Shaw, he had to move. Like once the internal investigation person told him that, he moved to a different city, got hella cameras on his house. He's saying that some of the officers who he's had problems with are willing to actually kill him, like a little fucking crazy. You know what I mean? So look at this ideal, y'all. At this moment, we are in this country struggling with how the police department treat regular people. They killing us, they fuck us up, they don't get fired, they just get transferred. So I try to remain hopeful when thinking about different ways to defund the police, when thinking about different ways to actually make some of these white motherfuckers look at us like we're goddamn human, right? But stories like this it almost make me feel like it's no hope, family, because if this police department is treating black officers like this, how do you think they're treating the citizens? Think about that. If they're gonna be discriminatory against different members, because we talking this Blue Lives Matter shit, where y'all dying for each other, y'all riding for each other, so I'm thinking y'all gonna be real tight with everybody. They saying, nah, we not fucking with niggas regardless. So how do you think they're treating the people that are black they have to come in contact with every day? You know what I mean? So there are some times, family, I feel like in order for America to move past racism, in order for America to move past bigotry, to move past all the discriminating factors we have to deal with, we may have to blow this motherfucker up and start over fresh, right? Because some of these institutions are so ingrained in racism that it may be too far gone for them, family. It may be too far gone for him, because in this situation, he's dealing with a sergeant that's saying basically, I'm gonna take these two monkeys out back and kill them. And at that point, you think, okay, internal affairs is going to come in. This is not a part of the police department. They're supposed to come in and be a non-biased entity that can come in and say, okay, I'm not biased to the officer or the sergeant. I'm going to look at this situation from back here and see how I can help out, right? Nah, they be in alignment with each other. And white folks, I got to give it to them, they be on code. Like the on-code clothing I was just talking about, and how it's important for us to have a code of conduct on how we treat each other in front of company, how we talk about each other, how we love each other, right? White folks got a goddamn code of conduct. When some shit pop off, they gonna protect people who look like themselves. That's something we can learn from too. Even though this system has done a number on us when it comes to how we love each other, and how they've actually taught us to hate each other through the systematic racism. We have this habit of treating each other like white folks treat us, or like white folks want us to treat each other. You know what I mean? So this is some crazy shit, bro. And I'm still trying to be hopeful and say, can we get black police officers that are revolutionary, that believe in our struggle? But you see what happens when you get a black cop who believes in our struggle, who sees some racist shit and say, look, I don't want to deal with that, right? Instead of them just saying, okay, cool, we'll transfer you to a different department or something. They're like, nah, we gonna kill your black ass. You know what I mean? So this brother had to move to a different city, had to get camp. He moved 650 miles away to South Carolina. He forfeited his pension, although he was just 2 years away from the eligibility for the full amount. He basically says, and I quote, I'm receiving death threats by a young man who has everything he needs to take care of me, right? These cops got all type of military trained pistols, military issued pistols, so that's some fucked up shit, but we need to know about it. And like I said, 2014, the Fed said that white supremacist groups are infiltrating the police departments around the country. Man, I bring that up so much because that's obvious now. When we look at how we're treated, when we look at how we're continually treated by these fucking cops, what's going on with that? Like what is that about? Because when we look at America, because most black folks I know, even though we go through racism, even though we go through bigotry and all this goddamn, the different levels of disenfranchisement, I don't know any black folks that just hate white folks. I don't know any black folks that see somebody white and be like, there goes the colonizer, we got to do something to him. Because in reality, when we talk about seeing a particular person and stereotyping them based on their history with you, right? Historically, what the fuck have we done to white folks besides defend ourselves? Besides try to have our own little shit, right? Y'all say, no, we don't want you with us. We don't want you drinking our water faucet. We don't want you doing any shit. We start Black Wall Street. Look what happens when we start Black Wall Street. You see what I'm saying? So when we're left to our own devices, we do pretty fucking good, right? Right? And when we're left to our own devices, we don't go out and start killing white folks. There hasn't been any cases in America where white folks is getting lynched or white folks is getting pulled out their car and getting killed. We're not hurting white people on a large scale, right? So when we look at the intrinsic problems that some Caucasians have with us, that's almost like a fucking mental illness if you think about it. Because if you do the history on all of us who are in this country, we shouldn't be an enemy. You know what I mean? So my heart goes out to this brother. Hopefully he can still get, I think I read somewhere that he's still going to get half of his pension, or they're going to do something for him, just to make sure he's still taken care of, right? Now, also, it's important to note that that department has faced steady criticism for its treatment of black residents. Now, the division faced scrutiny for fatally shooting a 13-year-old Tyree King and a 23-year-old Henry Green in two separate incidents in 2016, and for responding forcefully to protest over the summer. So the statistics show that 2018, 55% of the department's use of force incidents involve black people, although just 29% of the Columbus community is black. So we got a long way to go in this country, family, when it talks about, when we talk about equality, when we talk about getting under the thumb of a lot of these racist factions. But this is why this is important. This is why it's important that I come to my people. We talk about different things that are going on, and sometimes I feel like I'm being mundane. I feel like I'm just repeating myself with some of these stories or some of these incidents. But so what, family? I'm going to keep talking about this shit until it changes. If it don't change in my lifetime, I'm going to keep talking about it until I'm